Hi, Capricorn. Welcome to your April 2020 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So, this is a month I just did Sages reading, and for them, it's kind of like upside down. For you, the first part of the month will be the part that you may feel like that sense of having to deal with certain things, and then it gets a lot more fun towards the second half, because in the second half, the sun and other transits will be in Taurus, and Taurus is your fifth house, and that's a lot of fun. Aries, the sign right before Taurus, is your fourth house, which isn't bad. I mean, it's the house of home and family. It squares off to your sun or rising sign in Capricorn, so there is that friction, but it's meant to be like a growth type of a thing. So you may be, but it's also, I would say, with the fourth house, more of a serious thing, where the fifth house is just more just like having a good time. Okay, so in any case, as the month begins, the sun is in Aries, which is that fourth house, and you may just be dealing with home matters, but the sun here is nice. It's a very nice kind of thing. And, you rule the opposite house, the 10th house of career. So this is the house that Cancer rules, and it's more like the domestic side of life. And you may be kind of like tuning into that for whatever reason. On the third, Venus goes into Gemini, which is the sixth house. It's an earth house, the house that Virgo rules in the universal chart. And it's funny because both Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury. So this is a house ruled by Mercury. It deals with health matters, so diet and things like that. It deals with your workplace and, just the type of work you're doing in general. Also can be pets, and it can be your daily routine. Venus here can mean investing. I always say, like, I make jokes about a Vitamix or something that's like a high can I talk? A high ticket item, because Venus can be about luxury goods, or, things that are expensive, or throwing money at things. And the sixth house is like anything to improve your health. So something like a speed blender or what have you. But it can also be just the desire to look a certain way and connect it with what you're eating, what your lifestyle is like. The sixth house can be your lifestyle. And so anything that you can do to invest in that, I would say, like, even, I don't know if this is a stretch, but I could see somebody going to a spa, or that where they're pampering you, but it also having a health kind of a theme. They have those kinds of places where it's like it's in an exotic location, but it's also something where you're eating, very cleanly and stuff. This can be like finding love in the workplace, can be having harmony with coworkers. So it could be even getting like more money. Venus is about money too. So getting a raise. On the 7th, there's a full moon at 18 degrees of Libra. This is your 10th house, which you rule, Capricorn. So this is significant in that sense as well. So the full moon in the 10th house can be a time of recognition. So here it's coming on the heels of Venus in the 6th house, and these two houses do have a connection to some degree, to in a lot of ways. So perhaps you're getting a promotion, so you have a higher status plus making more money, and this could be recognition that you're getting from others. The 10th house is your public reputation, so that can become highlighted in some way. There might be some of you who are of retirement age, or you're just maybe in a place where you're changing careers, and so you're kind of finishing up whatever you're doing in this particular line of work. So on the 11th, Mercury goes into Aries, that fourth house. So you have Mercury going from the third to fourth houses. The third house can be siblings, for instance, or even your local area. So there could be research with, where if you are planning on moving house, Capricorn, you may be researching local areas. Hey, does this place have, a fruit market? Does it have, what are the amenities? What are the things, does it have a nice library? And kind of looking at it that way, or in contact with your siblings. And the fourth house, when Mercury goes into the fourth on the 11th, it can be in the area of your mother, and also real estate matters as well. Just to remind you, our Mercury retrograde was in Pisces. So when Mercury goes into Aries, it will finally have gotten out of the sign that it retrograded in. So you actually experience the retrograde in the third house going back into the second house. And now we're finally out of that pattern. Although Mercury goes out of its shadow on the 30th of March. So it's not like it's going to still be in its shadow until the 11th. But it's finally in a new sign. And so this could simply be that you're just increasing your communication with your mother. Maybe you've had some kind of family issues that require you to be in contact with your siblings and then your mother. On the 19th, we have the sun going into Taurus. This is what I was referring to. Now we have this Taurus energy. So that is more your speed because it's a fellow earth sign. So it forms a trine to you. And this makes things much friendlier, if you will, where you're going to feel that sense of like things not being as difficult to manifest and actually being quite easy. The trine is the easiest aspect. And so things can come to you much easier. And the sun is going into the fifth house. So it's more, it's more fun. It's like the inner child, as opposed to the fourth house can be your childhood. And that can feel kind of heavy sometimes if you're dealing with some stuff from the past. But now it's just like, hey, let's have fun. Let's go to a party. Let's go to a play. Let's fall in love. And there's actually a new moon a few days after the sun goes into that fifth house at 3 degrees of Taurus. And the number 3, it's important to note that numerology is connected with astrology, is connected with the tarot. They're all interconnected. So the number 3 is about creativity, abundance, and joy. Okay. So in the tarot, the number 3 card of the major arcana is the Empress. Okay. And the Empress actually does connect to Taurus. And does connect to, well, it connects to the planet Venus, which is Taurus and Libra. But this is about, the Empress is about abundance and creativity, just like what I said. And it's in this house, the fifth house, which is about creativity and pleasure in life, the fun things in life. So a new moon in the fifth house, if you're somebody who's single, this might bring love to you. And it can be something that, let's see, I was looking to see, the sun is already there. You might recognize somebody as you being attracted to somebody. Pluto, and this is also the house of creativity, so it's great for artistic types. Starting a new artistic project, perhaps. On the 25th, we have a Pluto retrograde at 25 degrees of Capricorn in the first house of the self. Oh boy. So Capricorn, you have been dealing with Pluto in your sign for, gosh, how many years now? A dozen. And so, going back to that full moon in the 10th house, the house that you rule, you rule the 10th house because you are a sign, Capricorn, and your ruler, Saturn, is a planet that is connected to the ideas of success and, having that sort of foundation in your life, but that has a public nature to it. That is you out in the world doing your thing, sharing your gifts with the world and becoming successful as a result. And so, Capricorn people usually are quite obsessed with becoming successful, having, a higher status than they started out with in life. And yet, when you get spiritual about it, we can question these beliefs ultimately and say, is it really true that this is a measure of who you are, your worth, your value, and that this is the ultimate goal of life? So the reason I'm saying this is because of the fact that you have Mercury, Pluto retrograding in the first house. Just the fact that you've had Pluto in the first house in general means that you're transforming who you want to present yourself as, because that's really how you carry yourself. Because Capricorn is very aware of how, their image, how other people perceive them, since you rule that 10th house. And the first house can be, how other people perceive you when they first meet you, for instance, the first impressions. And so now that Pluto is going retrograde starting on the 25th, you're going to be, it's going to be more of an internal thing, where instead of like how you look, how you're dressed, which you may really pay attention to, you might be saying, okay, what about me? And my personal development, and how can I look again? Pluto can be the shadow, it can be the psycho analysis, and looking at yourself from that deeper perspective, and even like your psychological motivations. What am I trying to prove here, and things like that. And that's great because it's very well rounded, and it will serve you well. On the 27th, Mercury goes into Taurus, the 5th house, talking to a potential love interest, anything that is connected to writing, creative writing projects, or even if you're planning to launch, or you already have launched your own business, which can be the 5th house, getting the word out about it, and so on and so forth. So I really like this month for you, Capricorn. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, like a natal chart interpretation, or looking at the next 12 months and the themes, the astrological themes that you're facing, especially since you're still having eclipses in your sign and your opposite sign, Cancer, as well as new ones to be dealing with, please check me out. The link is below. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Take care. Bye.